The Nightmare Queen has spoken. Fortify your boundaries with yourself or others, or suffer the consequences. I wasn't actually planning on doing a reading today, but I had a pretty wicked nightmare last night. And I feel sort of um, I guess, a kinship with the Morrigan. I don't really know what other word to use. But, just living with PTSD and nightmares are a fact of life. And it seems kind of serendipitous that she would be my patron. And I feel like dreams and nightmares are one of our biggest experiences, tools, however you want to put it, with exploring our own psyche, spiritual experiences, things like that. And nightmares pack a punch. They really have something to say when they come up. And it was a dream about like psychic garbage. Like if you've seen Spirited Away, that scene in the bathhouse with No Face when he becomes I don't know, like a victim of avarice and is just consuming, 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 and then it all spills out. That's really the visual that permeated all stages of this nightmare. Um, and I don't really know how it started because it's a little bit choppy, but there were three locations. One of them was an office building. One of them was a conference hall, like something you'd see like a Comic Con being held in. And then my home, or like my home in the dream. It was kind of a amalgamation of multiple apartments that I've lived in. And at each location, there was like garbage and junk and whatnot just spilling out, like piling over and over and over. And also at each location, there was a man making excuses for that junk. Like, why it had to be moved into my home and whatnot. And it was just like tools and stuff, and I don't know. It really just seemed like garbage, like clutter. And at I think it was the convention center one, there was the man there that he said something to me. He said, "You don't recognize me, do you?" So it feels like something is trying to return from the past. Like I'm getting, that junk and that garbage might have been like unconscious material, like shadow material, either your own or others, like spilling forward, not being regulated, not being maintained or managed. And so it's kind of like a pattern coming up, a person that you've encountered in your past. Maybe not like a literal individual coming back, but somebody with the same vibe, with the same energy is going to try the same crappy tricks or something like that. Like for me, in that dream symbolism, it was representing like how I used to accept excuses from people, like on things that they could absolutely resolve and address and things like that. And I would just take their excuses. But at the end of the dream, I had asked the random men that were moving all this junk into my home for whatever reason, and like, can you mind the door? Like, shut the door in between trips so my cat doesn't get out. But the cat that was coming to kind of like mind, I don't know if I actually saw him in the dream, was my cat who passed away like 3 years ago, my soul kitty. And it kind of felt like he was pulling me out of that nightmare, my little guardian angel. And but they were making these excuses like, you can't even be bothered to like be mindful of my cat. And that's when the rage started to like boil up in me, like so inconsiderate of something so simple. Um, so maybe you have something like that going on in your life, like boundaries that haven't been tested in a while, like something that, oh man, I thought this was over. Like I thought we were done with this, and here we go again. And or maybe it is somebody from your past that thinks like enough time has gone by that you'll start taking their crap again. So we'll start getting into it. And I'd actually been set up to do a true crime reading. But since I had that nightmare, I just was going to roll with it. Like, I already have these cards out. This must be what is meant to be. And right before I started the reading, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, but my witch runes got delivered. My little set of amethyst ones. And this is the all-seeing eye. So lifting the veil, psychic abilities, and things like that. So kind of doubling down on the dream symbolism and that connection. And the first card we have out here is from the Kipper deck, Expectation in reverse. And so I feel like it's either someone new or someone from your past that you already have some experience with that is trying to break down your boundaries, or potentially even take advantage of maybe you're struggling with some boundaries right now, and people be people, and they might be taking advantage of you having a rough time being in a vulnerable position, and like this is the time to try and come back into your life or something. So let's get one of these true crime cards. Let's see, what is it they don't want us to have boundaries around, or what are we struggling with? Because the decks that I have laid out here are what makes me think it's more of an external energy, like the Kippers and the true crimes. Clean up. And that does kind of connect to the dice roll that I did. Leo, North Node, which is in Pisces right now, and the 6th house. So the 6th house is like organization, health, things like that. Is it like somebody trying to come back into your life? Like somebody you used to drink with and you don't drink anymore. And they're like, oh, come on, like just one. And you're like, I haven't drank in 3 years. Like, no, let's get lunch or something. But if somebody's not respecting your boundaries and the changes you've made, do you really want to get lunch with them? Like, it's okay to decline. But, get one more. Maybe they just don't. I don't know. People get like, they get real jelly about others making improvements in their life. And it's like that crabs in a bucket mentality that like, well, if you improve, it highlights where I'm not improving, where I haven't made any changes. And rather than going and doing that, making changes and self-improvement and whatnot, I'm just going to like pull you down. Which I don't get. Because that crab that you just pulled down, had you not been a dick about it, they might have helped pull you up. But if someone's trying to pull you back down when you're trying to just better yourself, better your life or something, that's not a healthy person. And we're coming out with substances. And so maybe it is. Maybe you've moved past like some sort of addiction, some sort of struggle, something like that. They're trying to get past those boundaries for whatever reason. I don't know. Tell me more. Okay. No. 9 of scythes. 9 of swords. So the nightmare card, as we were talking about. And 6 of pentacles. Equal give and take. And it's actually kind of debatable if this is equal give and take, because actually this card highlights it really well, that there's like some sort of disparity between the two beggars. Usually there's one that has like a red ticket in their pocket, which indicates like a higher class or something, and these two, there's a racial disparity, and it's the one who's white who's actually getting like the coins, and then she's turned away from the black woman. And so some sort of nightmare around, I mean, were people treating you crummy for what you went through with substances? Like, going through anything like that, mistakes are going to be made. Things that we're not proud of. But you get to move on. You get to improve your life. You don't have to live in the shadow of what you've done for the rest of your life. You know, of course, take these things with a grain of salt, because anything to do with substances that could involve car accidents and things like that, and innocent people do get hurt. But say you've done your time for something you did, went through some sort of recovery program or therapy or things like that. But it's like you're expected to just live in the past because they are? Oof. And that, like, that can get really passive aggressive. Because if they've got so much of a problem with what you've done, something, you know, happened between you two, something like that, but they're not addressing it, they're not bringing it up, you're not a mind reader. None of us are. Like, use your words. If you're upset about something, like, talk about it. It's not the end of the world. We've got Knight of Scythes and 6 of Chalices. What? So 2 6s, and I mean 9 is an inverse 6. So evolution, that would denote 3 6s. So the soulmate card, and this is like the reckless hero. I am getting really icky vibes from this. Like, someone's trying to be a knight in shining armor or something when, like, you're fine. I don't know. Maybe it's like a self-worth thing on their part. Like, if they don't have, like, a little lost lamb to take care of, then their life has no meaning, no purpose, or something like that. So then they'll, like, crabs in a bucket people, rather than actually letting them move on. Could be something about creating a perception. Like, while you were struggling with this, they were this big helper or something when they really weren't. Like, they're recounting stories that make them look good, and you look bad. Like it's a twofold process. So on the left, what is up with this person? What's their motivation? Why are they trying to keep you in the past? Trying to keep you from being clean, you know, the cleanup card. And I've mentioned it before on the channel of like when I quit drinking, someone was like, oh, just a sip, you know, whatnot. If people are doing stuff like that to you, that's not a safe person. That's someone who's acting like they're safe. If you're not consuming something, even if it's just like a food intolerance or something, or like you just don't like it, and they're like, oh, come on, come on. Like, bro, I already said no. What? What aren't you getting? High honor. Doesn't feel very honorable. But is that what they want? Like to be the hero? To be the knight in shining armor that like, oh, now that all the work is done and the results are in and like you're fine, they're like, oh, it's great to see like how good you're doing and blah 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 blah. Like, hey, where have you been? And by the way, aren't you blocked? Like, take the hint, dude. Because I feel like if somebody is this like shifty, you're probably not talking to them anymore. And if you are, like, maybe consider. And, you know, of course, there are circumstances where you can't fully separate from people. You know, co-parenting and stuff like that. Run away. Somebody's running away from their problems. And I don't think it's you or whomever has decided to get clean. I think it's this person that rather than dealing with their stuff, they try to project this image of like the nurturer, the carer, when really it's like it's supply is what it is. I think that would fall under the like, what is it, communal narcissism? So what are they running away from? Problems. What? How many is this? 4? I'll do. 4 of stakes. 4 of wands. That's like ultimate happiness. Like the homecoming, the ceremony of the lovers. Then the star, page of pentacles, and the lovers. It's like self-sabotage. They're running away from is this someone? I'm starting to get third-party vibes. That you weren't quote-unquote good enough for them because you were struggling with substances or something, and like struggling with money, which that can be like a, you know, chicken and the egg sort of deal. Like stress drives you to vices and vices drive you to spending, and like it's, yeah, it cycles. But it's like someone who's really materialistic or like really concerned with perception and like how they're viewed and things like that. And you, in whatever capacity this relationship is, it doesn't need to be like romantic necessarily, but maybe just a friend. you had all like the star qualities or something. Great compatibility, like talk for hours and it feels like minutes, things like that. But we're struggling with material, with health, with money. But now maybe you're not, and they just want to come back in now that the work is done. That's gross. It's kind of making me think of Spirited Away. That scene with the bathhouse that I was talking about. There was something that set No Face off that made him like start, such a gross word, but regurgitating like all the things that he'd consumed in his avarice. And but the one person he couldn't win over with his gold was Chihiro. She couldn't be bought. So maybe there's some sort of incompatibility between you and this person. Because I saw multiple men in that dream, like, making excuses as to why they had to be in my space. Like, why all this stuff had to be in my space. So it's like someone just wants to invade now that the results are in. So they want the credit for your hard work, for you getting better. Because, like, back to that dice roll, the North Node is in Pisces, so, like, Dreamy and Delulu Pisces. Um, that push-pull with Virgo, the 6th house, South Node is in Virgo right now. So it's like you've improved those health habits. But someone doesn't want you in your North Node? Like in your star vibe? Oh, and it's Aquarius season today, too. I thought that was interesting for why I suddenly had a dream, that I can remember since September. Because the medication that I take at night, like, I'm still subject to the experience of the nightmares, but the memory gets wiped from the hard drive, which is no small mercy. But it's Aquarius season starting today and Martin Luther King Day, so that I have a dream. Real emphasis on that. So why doesn't this person want you in your North Node? And your North Node doesn't have to be in Pisces, like, just for the metaphor, That's you pursuing your destiny, your highest timeline, if you want to call it that. It's the life you want to live, what's going to make you happy. Maybe even a life that includes a degree of service, You've been through a lot, it seems, especially if you've gotten clean. You've learned things that are valuable to other people. So maybe you're trying to find a way to distribute that information. Maybe get involved in like some sort of support group, start training to facilitate, something like that. We've got unexpected income. And this also gives Six of Pentacle vibes. But it came out reverse. So are you expecting income? Or is that why this person doesn't want you in your North Node? That, like, you healing will just, like, naturally, like, material will heal, as you improve your situation and things like that. And for some reason this person doesn't want that? again, crabs in a bucket. Hmm. Maybe they know, since they're just coming in at the end for the results, like, whatever prosperity is coming your way ain't coming their way. And especially if you have, gone through like estrangement or something like that, like my experience, if you suddenly come into, I don't know, a boon, a windfall, your tax return, whatever. Um, if you've got vocal family members about, like, well, I bought you groceries that one week when, you had an ambulance ride and you couldn't afford the groceries and whatever, like, that's a bare minimum. Helping out your family. Like, and then to hold that over their head, that's a betrayal of that bond. And I don't know. I don't give out gold stars for the bare minimum. uh, it's, and especially if you're coming into a windfall after struggling for with something really big, for something with a really long time, something like that, you need to take care of yourself first. Because I bet there were a lot of silent nights if you were going through something like this, something that's uncomfortable, taboo, what have you. People have a tendency to bail when ish hits the fan. It's like, there's a phenomenon with cancer patients too, that how lonely it ends up being. Like, people love donating to the GoFundMes and posting on social media, like the ribbons and the whatnots, but then there are so many accounts of people, like, their social circle disappearing, and my experience, mental health is no different. Like, it was both sides of the table, like, people not reaching out to me and me separating myself from people. And that, if you've parted ways, like, I don't know where this expectation of, like, an open door policy is coming from just because people are related. Or, like, you knew each other for a really long time. Like, really qualify that. How much did you actually hang out? How much were, like, people picking up the phone on both sides, too? Like, we gotta look at our own behavior as well. It's like over selling their position, overestimating their position, I think is the right word. Egotism, yeah. And imprisonment. Ooh. A prisoner to their ego? That might be a reference back to the Leo dice roll. We love you, Leos. But egotism, it's interesting. All those taxis. It's giving me New York. And imprisonment. So maybe some rationalization going on. Like, trying to guilt trip you into sharing the prosperity, or maybe you're giving off the perception of the materials have healed. Maybe they haven't quite yet, like, you're still pushing that boulder uphill, trying to escape Tartarus. But it's like there's someone that's interacting with you only when it serves their ego, and they're like a prisoner to their ego. It's just something that has such a hold on them that they can't establish like really fulfilling relationships. Because all that stuff in the dream was junk. It was garbage. I like tools, you know. I've got my toolbox and whatnot. Um, they're handy. It really sucks like when something breaks and like you know exactly what you need but you don't have it. But it just reminds me of the like how many garages in this country end up storage just for like stuff that like, oh, it was on sale, it was $1 cheaper than it was yesterday, so I went and bought it. Like, who knows when that's gonna happen again? Do you really need all that stuff? Probably not. You know, I had to look at a lot of my spending habits and the little dopamine, like, why am I buying all this cheap crap? And a trick that I learned along the way, just adding to cart gives you the same dopamine rush as actually making the purchase. So, something to think about. Tell me more about egotism and imprisonment. Oh, and I did more water scrying too, and it was interesting. Because the first, I do that with essential oils, and the first drop, like, exploded into a supernova, is what it looked like. And then the next two symbols were a turtle and the those trees that are in The Lion King. I wrote it down. Baobab? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Baobab tree? But also called the Tree of Life. And turtles, there are a lot of legends and such about the turtle carrying the earth on its back. And all that purging of the junk just coming out of like nowhere. There wasn't like a gaping portal in any of these places. Maybe it's like a final purge of stuff. Like, I don't want to use the word test, but is this the final boss? Like, where you know, you're the, like, the magician card. You have everything you need from all four suits, and you know exactly what to do, and it's like a quick battle. Like, if you can even call it that. You're so skilled at this point. Some sort of major transformation. And, I mean, you can also look at it on the macrosphere. Because I think Miyazaki said about Spirited Away that No Face in that bathhouse scene was like a metaphor for the Western capitalist like ideals and such being imposed on the East, on Japan. And that world tree, well, and the supernova actually talks about transformation on a grander scale. So a change in attitude, societal attitude towards something. I've got the Eight of Cups, Eight of Chalices. And that spike on that, talking about ego, but that's like staying in this imprisonment imprisonment to egotism to materialism. But this is why they don't want you in your north node? Because then they don't have somebody to be like, look how much better I am than them. You know, let me help the poor little lost lamb who blocked me 6 months ago. Like, or whatever. Time passing, not an apology. Yeah, the world. 2 completion cards, both in reverse. Because the world is a cycle completing, but in that position, it's not. It's not done yet. They looking at you like an exit plan? Like grabbing onto your coattails and riding off into the sunset to use you? On some new frontier? We've got 7 of stakes and strength, both in reverse. I can't remember. There was probably a clone episode of Buffy. So not surrendering to the circumstances. Not having the strength to break out of these cycles on their own? Or at least that's how they feel. And, I mean, if they're not putting in the effort, like, yeah, you're guaranteeing that outcome. That you're not going to get out of your circumstances if you just keep trying to use people and ride on their coattails. Like, it might work temporarily. And I'm sure, I mean, businesses and whatnot, they do that all the time to their talent. You know, get them to sign some sort of, like, contract that benefits them a lot more than it does the artist, and ultimately it takes down the artist. But then the people who wrote the contract still benefit off the money and what have you. So they're trying to be the hero when really they're the damsel in distress, as it were. They're the ones that need rescuing from this place. They misjudged you. What do we need to be aware of going forward? Like, I'm trying to think of that junk. Like, what is the attempted invasion into our space? Distant horizons. And that has always given me, like, Howl's Moving Castle. Which I think I've seen a fan theory that Spirited Away is like a continuation of Howl's Moving Castle. Maybe you need to watch some Studio Ghibli. They're wholesome. Moving. The music's amazing. I don't quite understand. There's seagulls. I'm kind of getting California from that. Because I can't remember last time I was on the East Coast. There had to have been seagulls over there too. I think they're kind of everywhere. Oh, there's initials, it looks like. C and M. M as in Mary. Give me another one. There's too many. What about distant horizons do we need to know? how is this part of the invasion? Is the invasion coming from a distance? From somebody distant? House in reverse. Estranged family. So we talked about that a little bit. That's kind of giving like a Victorian. Maybe they're from across the pond. Distant relative? Unknown relative? You know what I'm getting? It'd be like if you won the lottery or something, and then like your long lost cousin, just like out of nowhere, long lost cousin, like, I broke my leg and I need a lung transplant or something like that, and they're trying to get money off of you. I don't know if they try and convince people to like take DNA tests or something like that, but no. Maybe you're trying to skadooch, trying to get out of wherever you are, see the world, live somewhere else, follow your heart's desire, you know? Because what I'm getting from this, you might be solo right now, kind of building off of some things they talked about in the last reading. I just lost it. So fuzzy. I'm still a little bit in the nightmare hangover. While this video is uploading, I'm going to take a shower and wash the rest of that away. Get grounded, you know. Showers really help with that. Oh, there we go. Looks like we got a few. Intuition. Ooh, burial in reverse and jealousy in reverse. What? Because that's bringing me back to all that stuff coming up. You know, the burial, the unearthing. Some sort of secret? Is that something that might break down your boundaries? Finding out some sort of secret about a distant relative or something? Maybe you really do have one. I have heard of that. You know, people taking DNA tests and then like, surprise sibling. Oh my god. But jealousy. I'm not really getting in the reverse position that that's like the opposite of jealousy. It's like jealousy that can't be hidden. Maybe you are hitting it big. In some sort of expected way. Because, you know, unexpected income came out in reverse. Maybe you're far from where your true home is. Maybe you're still looking for that. But some sort of secret. What's this secret? And it's something that, like, you're figuring out through intuition, maybe through cryptic symbolism in your dreams. Maybe you connect things to media like I do, and then it'll jog like a memory or an idea or something, you know, watching whatever piece of media comes to mind. If it's not, you know, Studio Ghibli stuff, if it's something else. Because I think the jealousy, like the jealousy that can't be hidden, is kind of coming from this, like, inability to escape. But I still don't understand, like, what is this secret that's being unearthed? It's like 3. So 6 of scythes, 6 of swords, Knight of Pentacles, and 9 of Pentacles. But Knight of Pentacles was in the upright. The 9 was in reverse. So the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the deck. And this is another, like, stuck in place card. The 6 of Swords. And the 9 of Pentacles, that's, like, not achieving independence. The crabs in a bucket mentality. Are you being held in place somehow? It's like you can't get to distant horizons. Like, I'm kind of getting a, well, if I can't have it, you can't either. Like, if I can't escape my circumstances, you can't either. And there's some sort of secret around that. Like, the jealousy is being seen. Has this person done something to keep you in place? Like, to keep you from achieving the independence that you want, or that, like, you're clearly capable of, but for some reason, it's just like a merry-go-round of nonsense. Like, every time you make a little bit of progress, you immediately get locked down, which I can totally relate to. It's like, it seems, some days it seems like a curse. It's like, okay, I can finally breathe, and then you immediately get kicked in the ribs. Like, how does this keep happening? It's annoying. And I want to know, I really want to know more about this secret. What'd they do? Did they do anything? Pathway. I'm getting, like, leading you down the garden path. Like a false promise. Like something to maintain this, like, high honor. You know, they're running away from their problems. Which they kind of can't because they're stuck in place. But, like, lying to you, doing something to sabotage your success, your progress, whatever. Then they still have their scapegoat? What was down this pathway? Courtship. Did you reject this person? It's in reverse. Or this was like a false? Like, was someone gonna try and white knight you? When, like, you're the knight. They're the one that needs rescuing, but they really are so, like, hell-bent on being the knight. I just keep coming back to that, like, communal narcissism and the perception and stuff. It's like creating a perception with you somehow, because I don't feel like you're in contact with this person. Or are they telling people you were together? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like dating. It could have been like a friends with benefits sort of deal. When really, in reality, you were busy working on your stuff. You're staying clean. This is really confusing energy because it feels like you are being treated like a possession, like a prop to, I don't know, just bolster this persona that this person has created. You know, like they're even lying to themselves about I don't know, their issues. Because all the junk was being pushed onto me in the dream. So it's like you're this receptacle for all their problems. Like everything going wrong in their life is somehow your fault. You know, maybe they're even telling people, you know, they're going through hardship because they were helping you when they weren't. Something like that. Maybe you're going to find out about this. I don't know, about things like said behind your back. And then that is where you need to shore up your boundaries. Because there might be a real temptation to, like, call them up, you know, give them a piece of your mind and whatnot. But if somebody's doing, like, weird manipulative games like this, just get away from this person. Don't even give them the time of day if you don't absolutely have to deal with them. And I mean, if they're saying a bunch of stuff behind your back, maybe you've got a court case coming up about defamation, you know, something like that. Especially if they're saying like you were together when you weren't. I don't know if that's defamation or just lying or just weird. You know? It's like some sort of secret is going to be buried or unburied, unearthed. And all that stuff, like a supernova, is going to get released with it when that secret comes up. Like, I think any more cards, I'm just going to get further lost in the weeds with this. But it just seems like you've got somebody in your vibe that's really concerned with perception, but dumping all their stuff onto you. And it might also trigger things up from the past. You know, your own shadow material coming up and contributing to that, like, pile of junk. And it could become a mess, I think, if you give it too much attention. Because people should absolutely not be creating perceptions about you behind your back and smear campaigns and things like that, whatever they have to do to feel better about themselves, it's still bullying. It's still garbage, like a terrible way to treat another human. And it's a real gamble with confrontation. I think confrontation in the right moment is very healthy. Uh, I don't know if this would be the moment for confronting things. If you are discovering that something being said behind your back is defamation worthy, they're doing something to affect your money, something like that, I wouldn't confront them. I would file the appropriate, reports, talk to the appropriate people, things like that, because a confrontation, I think, is just going to be unnecessary fuel on the fire. So, weirdness. Kind of an odd reading today. But that nightmare was so powerful. I was in a state when I woke up. So I was really uncomfortable with the, like, you don't recognize me, do you? I don't know. Like, I'm getting ego from that, too. Like, haha, you can't see my tricks. Even though they're the exact same ones that I keep trying on you. Like, bro, we can see you from a mile away. We've got middle of the night. Speaking of nightmares and dreams and such. So, maybe pay attention to your dreams. Really focus on that sleep hygiene. Set the stage, set an intention before you go to sleep that I am going to remember my dreams. It might not work every time, but you start training your brain to try and remember, like you're getting in that mindset. And writing down what you can remember as soon as you wake up, before your feet hit the floor, before you open Instagram and doom scroll, first thing in the morning, checking your emails, whatever it is. The very first thing you do, even if it doesn't seem important, write down what you can remember, because it might anchor you into that. And as, the fog kind of clears from sleepy time, you might be able to remember a little bit more, as the day goes on, and it'll improve over time. It's a muscle that requires work. So, a lot to think about. I hope you get some rest if all of this is going on, and just keep up those boundaries. So, overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.